Hi guys, this is Ben from Ben Williams Music. So in today's lesson, I just want to talk about how easy it is to identify certain notes on the guitar. You know, a lot of guitar players, we really get used to talking about shapes and fret numbers and chord shapes and things like that, but we don't really get down to the basic brass tacks of just knowing what note we're playing, you know? This is going to be really useful if you communicate with anybody that doesn't play a stringed instrument, like a piano player or a horn player, or anybody that just doesn't have a nice grid to look at when they're playing their instrument. So it's kind of a fundamental skill, and really to find every note on the guitar is not that difficult. There's a couple of things that we need to do, right? First of all, we need to memorize 6 notes, and some of you that have taken lessons from me before know what I'm talking about when I say that. So our 6 notes that we want to know are going to be on the low E string, and then the A string. There's going to be 3 notes per. So let's get started. So the first note that we want to know down pat, we want to have it sort of be like this automatic thing that we know all the time, is this note. And it's the 3rd fret on our low E, right? Low E string, 3rd fret. So that note's a G, okay? If we go up 2 more frets, we have an A, and 2 more frets, we have a B. Well, that sounds bad. So G, A, B. Again, G, A, and B. So all we have to do to start this note naming process is really just get to know those 3 notes really quickly. Now on the next string, the A string, same frets, right? We're going to have a 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret. And those notes are going to be C, D, and E. And we want to get those memorized, right? So 3rd fret is C, 5th fret is D, 7th fret's going to be E. So we have just these 6 notes, right? 3 on the E, 3 on the A string. So on our E string, again, we have G, A, B, C on the A string, D, and E. Now the reason that we want to get to know those 6 notes first is because they're the primary notes that we're going to use for playing bar chords and things like that, where we line up our first finger here to play like a G chord, for example. I don't know if you can see that here. Right then, that's my reference note, the G, right? 3rd fret on the E. You can play an A chord by doing this, moving to the 5th fret, or B by playing it up to, and playing that same chord shape right there. That is my reference note. Then of course on this string we have the same deal, like a C chord is going to be like this, right? You guys can see this. There's my D note, right? I'm on the 5th fret of the A. C, D, so D chord here, E chord here. So we got to start with those 6 notes. So they're most important for pretty much any one of these chords we're going to play. The other tricks that you can use to help identify notes is that once you get used to these, we can start to realize the notes that happen sort of in between. So instead of the 3rd fret and the 5th, maybe we can figure out the 4th. If we know that this is a G, and we know that this is an A, and we play a note in between those two, we're going to be playing a note that we can either call a G sharp, because we've essentially raised the G a half step, or an A flat, because we can go from an A and we can lower it a half step. That's what flatting means. So we can start to learn these notes in between if we know those 6, right? We can learn G sharp A flat, A sharp B flat. We can learn, you know, we have C down here. We can learn C sharp D flat, or D sharp E flat. So we can start to kind of put together a way to recognize what note we're playing pretty quickly. The other thing that's really cool about knowing those 6 is you can use what they call the octave trick to find out notes on different strings, right? So we've been talking about these 2 strings primarily, but really we can use this octave trick to find notes on the D string and the G string, even further on from that. So here's a quick example. I'll use it in G. So if we know this is our G, the octave shape for this string is going to be down 2 strings, so G down to the D string and up 2 frets. So anytime if I know where this G is, I use that spatial relationship. Down 2 strings, up 2 frets, right? I have another G. both G's. And I know that this note's a G because I know the octave shape, down 2, up 2, and I know that this note's a G because it's one of the automatic notes I'm trying to learn. Right? Which means if I know this shape, G and then G here, and I go to an A, and I play the same distance apart, right? The same distance from this starting note, down 2, up 2, I get another A note. If I know B, I have B notes there, right? B, down 2, up 2, B. So that works for the notes on the D, right? Now if we want to learn the notes on the next string down, the G string, right? We can use the notes that came here on the A. So for example, if I'm on A and I play the 3rd fret on the A string, I get a C note. Now if I do that same thing, I go down 2 frets up, down 2 strings up 2 frets, I get another C note. That's our octave. So I can use that trick to find out notes on the G string, right? If I'm doing a 5th fret here, 7th fret here, I'm playing 2 C's. Then I'm playing 2 D notes. Then I'm playing 2 E notes, right? So if I know the names of the notes on the A string, I can figure them out on the G string by using this shape. Now there are other shapes. If you go down to, for example, if we go back to our example of G over here, 3rd fret there, right? There's an octave, down 2, up 2, right? If I switch and put my key note here, and I want to play an octave from there, there's another shape. And this shape occurs anytime we land on the B string or go across the B string, because the B string's tuned a half step out of whack from where we normally play. So here we go. Here's our G, and we know that again from being here. G and G. Now if I put my first finger on that note again, and I go down 2, up 3, whoops, I get another G note. Right? So, basically now we know we can play a G here. We have the first octave rule, which is down 2 strings, up 2 frets. To find that G, down 2 strings, up 3 frets, because we're crossing the B, to find another G. Right? So basically I've learned notes on 3 strings from knowing just this one and the 2 octave shapes, right? So let's try it on the A string. So for C, right, C is here, 3rd fret, down 2, up 2, that gives us another C. Excuse me. If I do that and go down 2, up 3, I'm on the high E. Well, that's another C note there, right? So the idea here is that once we learn a couple of really basic notes on the A and the E strings, on the A string and the E strings, we can use these octave tricks to help us find the other notes on the guitar really quickly. It's a really great way to sort of see your key notes if you're playing in a scale, or just, you know, when you're communicating with other musicians that don't play guitar or bass or some other stringed instrument, you know, where you're just looking at frets and someone says, oh, hey, it's the, you know, 4th fret on the G string, and you can communicate that way. But if you're talking to somebody who plays trumpet, they don't have any frets. You know, you need to understand that 4th fret is actually on the 4th fret on the G string is going to be a B. So you need to play your B's. Right? We'd find a B note here. Anyway, because we've gone, here's our C, we're going to memorize that one. If I go to the next note down, 1 fret down, that's a B, right? We can go A sharp, B, B, down 2, up 2, 1st octave, down 2, up 3, 2nd octave. Anyway, so I hope this helps a little bit. If you guys have any questions about it, you can always email me, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. But yeah, I'm just putting this out there for everybody that's on the email list, and I want to thank you guys for taking your time to watch this video and read my email. So, hope you all have a good day, and happy jamming. Thanks a lot.